little bit of politicians, but we would omit it. And Parachatevi in King Narai's range is actually an intellectual on the same par with men. She actually that shows her intellectualism in a high degree. And then you have จ้าฟ้ากุณฑลand เจ้าฟ้ามงกุฎ who actually not, I wouldn't say translate, but she is the one who actually brought the story of Inau or Panji, which is told to her by her mates, and transfer it or transfigure it, I think, into Thai society, and it sticks. I mean, we still have Inau and Panji. There was one version that's closer to Javani's version, and the other one was very Thai. And it was set in a drama, a very Thai drama. I mean, I don't think that the Indonesian would recognize this as a Indonesian drama. It's all Thai, in a sense. Too bad that we don't really have that versions in extent right now, but that was the introduction of more or less. This is the internationalization of literature, in a sense that it cross-cultural and bring about something that we know about Indonesian, and we use a lot of words. Well, sometimes it's a Pali Sanskrit word that pass through Javanese, and right now we well, as a student of Pali and Sanskrit, right now it was a funny thing that we have word like guru, which is actually passed through English. Sanskrit word passed through English, right? I mean, the old days passed through Cambodia and it's passed through Java, and we borrow it ourselves. But right now, like you have a village which is called Nirvana. At first I thought, what is Nirvana? It's Nirvana. I don't know whether you want to stay in there or not, because it's equal to death somehow. So, and then we have other things like Komalwang Narindra Tevi, which she jotted down a lot of things from of her time. And sometimes she gives comments and insight, and she actually shows her intellectuality in that document. And then you have Kun Pum, which is etc. etc. But mainly this is more or less that you can see it. It's probably mainly in the what you call the belles lettres, earlier literatures and cultures. Why would we call the Queen Grandmother as a intellectual? She actually was born in the time of the modernization of Thailand, right? With, I mean, lots of ideas and concepts that you never heard before, something like ice. I was looking at this story about ice that we have to export from Singapore, and Singapore got it from Boston. Boston got it from far up north, from the Canada. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's a lot of intellectuality in it, in terms of cultural transferring. And in Thai society, we have a saying that if you tell a lie, it means that you form a water into a solid mass. I don't know what they think about it when they saw ice the first time. I mean, telling a lie become true, in a sense, and this is a small thing that shows you that there's a lot of things that we never encountered before at around that time. Together with all the new concept of politics, how to behave, how to look at intellectuality in itself, because you have a lot of new subjects. You have engineering, you have all these natural science, not in a sense, I mean, we always study natural science coupled with ethics and moralities. If you look at Traipum, we study geography, but it's a moral geography. It's not a physical geography in the real sense. And we study history also in connection with religions anyway. We start off with the Buddha. Or even further down in the remote history, maybe reaching Triassic, probably because it was going up far and further away in the past. And other thing else like biology, astrology. And there was a friend of mine in French, I was studied in French, says, "Oh, your people in Asia are so superstitious. You believe in the stars influence your life." It might be true that we are superstitious, but let's see. The tides actually depend on the gravity from the moon, right? There's something there too. We never know. What you cannot see doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It might have some influence on us. I mean, even you have about this full moon that make people mad, and it might have something. We don't really know. So don't really think that it's a superstitious. It might be stitious, if the word exists. So the queen has actually passed through all that in her. Well, she lived only something like. Her father passes away when she was just a 5. Her education was actually done in Brahma, the 5th grade. And at that time in the palace, you can look at it 2 ways. Positively, she was exposed to these new things faster and more direct than other common people. Another way is that the constant of this traditional court rules and etc. might have something that she couldn't really get out as freely as other people. But later on in her life, accompanied her husband to villages and all that, and not late in her life, I mean in her mid-30 or something like that, she spent a lot of time outside of Bangkok and in a rural area in a real sense, because you have to go by ship. You don't have any roads to reach that place. So her experience is actually broader in a sense and narrow in a sense, but still, I think something in her, some of her characters, like her insightfulness when she looked at things, and her mind was always thinking about other people, and very beneficial in a sense that she actually gathered her knowledge and her intellectualities in terms of not divorces or not ineffectiveness like the one that we have a negative connotation. With that, actually, she actually contributes a lot to the society. Now, I mean, if you ask me, why is she entitled to be called intellectual? Because she doesn't really leave much of her written documents, but we have a lot of documents that show her intellectualities and shows that her way of thinking is actually belong to that group of people who we can call intellectuals. So now, is she a leading intellectual? I think so, because the scope of her works and the influence of her intellectuality is still felt now today, right? Her works is actually a living legacy in the society. So in that case, you can say that he's the leading one. Her influence doesn't fade it away. So she's still here, actually, among us. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here and standing here and talking about her. And the scopes and the influence, I would think, was immense, and quantitatively and qualitatively speaking, there's a lot of things. So the result of her work is a living legacy anyway. And how would we say, how can we say that her work is a work of intellectuals? I think it was not exaggerate to say that her works actually possessed all the qualities of being intellectuals. I mean, if you look at her work, it was thought well and reasoning well to begin with. It was thinking rationally, I would say. This is what I jot down, and systematically. I mean, she is one of the women that always think rationally, even while she was suffering from, suffered from something. She's always think rationally and coming out of it positively. She lost a lot of her children. With that, she actually embarked herself on doing all this healthcare thing that I will talk later. And I think she reasoning intelligently. I mean, a lot of people reasoning without any background or knowledge or something. I mean, the Queen's always searching for knowledge and reasoning out of it. I mean, if you don't have any basic thing like we have big flood, and all the people who came up to the television didn't learn about the water at all. So you can talk anything. If you don't learn anything, you can talk everything. And if you learn something, you can't really talk about everything. You just have to be careful because you are not an omniscient anyway. I mean, even the Buddha said, I'm not an omniscient, but later on it was given to him. So, reasoning intelligently with knowledge and good management. All through her life, she managed well. That's why she always get a good result out of it. I mean, we still see what she had done, and it continues. It doesn't disappear like the policy of the government always disappears with the ministers, and we change ministers a lot, every 3 months or 3 weeks. So I don't know whether we would change our color fast enough with the government or not. So we may say that the rationality, knowledge, and good management govern the Queen Grandmother's intellectuality. I will limit myself for the constraint of time. I hope you won't give me more than 30 minutes. Just to the 3 areas. There are more of the Queen's work, namely education, arts and crafts, and healthcare. I think education is the core or the basis of her thinking. So her rationality in case of education is very clear in all through actually in arts and crafts and healthcare too. So it can be used as a highway to actually probe into all her works and her intellectuality in a sense. So I think in her thinking is the foundation of the nation's modernization and progress. She always urged people to study. You have to study something. And she's always said, you should study, searching for knowledge, and doing something good for your nation. Or what she said, our nation, and the virtues of บ้านเมือง not ประเทศ or country as we say, just the house and the country. Have to do something in your family too, not just the country. If your family is not good, your country is not going to be good anyway. Well, she thought, I think education is a means that one can develop oneself and has a space or a place in society. And if one has a space in society, then the society will be progress, right? I mean, otherwise, what would you do? You have a lot of people that's out of place, or maybe displaced from the society. You would lose a lot of human resource anyway. And if you don't educate people enough and well enough, then we have problem. We are behind.